Life is always changing. Sometimes we struggle through it. Sometimes it's forced upon us. Sometimes we outgrow our life and change. And sometimes the change is about just surrendering, just giving up and going with it. So what type of change are you going through? Drop a line in the comments. Please let me know. I am interested. I would like to know. We all go through change, and not all change is the same. Sometimes change is imposed upon us, and sometimes change is like a natural evolution, a spreading of the wings. Sometimes it's a struggle, and sometimes it's just confusion. And whatever type of change that we go through in life, it changes our life. And the brilliant thing about change is when we learn to embrace it and not fight against the change, big things happen in our life. Whether we change our mind about our jobs, relationships, careers, the postcode on our address, or whatever it is that we change. Change is a natural cycle. It's all part of life. There are 4 different types of change that I've helped people with. And what I've developed over the years are 4 different types of stories to help people to understand the change they're going through. So I'm going to run through these 4 different areas of change. I would love to know what type of change you're experiencing. What is it you're going through? And drop a line in the comments. At this point, I think I'm supposed to say subscribe and like and press the bell thing. I didn't know this actually, because I'm new to all this stuff, but apparently when a new video comes out, then if you like this sort of stuff, you'll be notified. That's what the bell is for. Fantastic. But please subscribe. I've got like 300 people watch my videos, massive amount for little old me that's just doing this, and yet only 10% of those have subscribed. So please subscribe. Brilliant. So what are the changes? So the first story, which represents change, is to do with the bird in the shell. So it's in the shell and it's growing and it feels cramped and it feels it needs to get out, but it doesn't know what it wants to get out of because it's safe. It's confined, but it's safe, and it's getting uncomfortable. And then it gets to a point, it just knows it needs to change something, so it starts pecking at its boundaries. It starts pecking at its shell. It starts pecking at the things which are safe and what makes it feel like it is protected by. That's the shields that we carry so we don't get hurt. And then it just breaks free. It comes out of its shell. And it can never go back in its shell, and is about to start a new life. And it comes out of the shell and it looks up and sees the blue sky and this land that's all around it. And there's all these possibilities, and sometimes having a lot of possibilities is a bit frightening. You think, oh, let's get back in that shell. So what type of life am I describing here? You see, we all have shells. And breaking out the shell is leaving a job that you've outgrown, leaving a relationship that no longer serves you, changing your habits, where you go, where you spend your time, how you treat your body. We break out of our shell when we're growing, when we've got growth. And the growth gets to a point where it's not comfortable anymore. And so whatever you're going through, it's worth it. It's worth it for this new life. And breaking free is worth taking a chance. Look at the possibilities. So just a little reflection here, which I'll try and do for each one. Do you feel you're ready to break free? Do you feel like you're constrained? Do you feel like you're trapped in some situation, some life situation that you need to break free from? The next story is one of my favorites because I absolutely resonate with this at different points in my life. It's a story about the lobster feeling the pressure. So the lobster, as many people know, has a hard shell, and it needs to shed the shell to grow, because again, similar to the bird, but it's different because this is change through struggle. So with the lobster, what it does, it finds somewhere, a bolt hole, somewhere quiet, somewhere dark, somewhere safe. And when it knows where that place is, it then bashes its shell, its claws against some rocks so that the old shell will come off. And when it completely comes out of its shell, it has no protection. It's now this soft, fleshy thing that's probably good eating for a passing fish. So it bolts into a hole and it hides itself away. It goes into hermit mode. And during this time of taking itself away from the world, the bruising starts going down. A new shell forms on its skin and it has growing room. And when it's developed a new shell, it can come out of its hiding hole, face the world, and go about this new life, bigger, better, and bolder than it was before, and it still has room to grow. So through the struggle of removing the shell, makes itself vulnerable, and then after time of reflection, it can then go back into the world. Do you recognize this? Have you gone through struggle to make a change in your life? What types of struggle? It could be grief. It could be illness. It could be the end of something really important in your life, such as a marriage, the loss of a business. All this is struggle. And the struggle comes about because there's something that needs to change. And there will be a change. You will never be the same. However, you will be stronger. So grief leaves us bare. Heartbreak leaves us raw. An illness slows us down. But whatever you're going through, if you're going through any of these major things, know that it's a time to rest. And just because you would feel vulnerable, and there's a time you need to take yourself away from the world to allow yourself to regain some strength in the proverbial lobster shell, so that you can come back out into the world and face it stronger and wiser, with more experience than you had before. That's my reflection for the lobster story. What about outside change? When we are just okay, feeling we're okay as we are, not quite certain, just being there. Imagine a tree. Imagine a beautiful solid tree, maybe in a vale or on a hillside, but it's a beautiful tree. And a storm comes, and there's lightning. And the lightning hits the tree and it loses some branches. The tree could have grown as much as it wanted to. It could have just spread out. And this was imposed from outside, out of nowhere. Literally, the storm just brought change. And the seasons come and the seasons go. And even though the tree didn't invite that, it would look around, and where its lost branches, if it could be aware of it, it would see the new shoots, the new life coming up. As the shade is no longer on that part of the land, the new growth can grow, and it can change the environment around the tree. So the storm could feel like devastation in life, and an invited devastation. So what sort of thing are we talking about here? We're talking about maybe a diagnosis that reshapes the way we see our life and changes our life. That changes our priorities in life. That gets us to look at who we are, look at our mortality, and see what do we want to bring into the life. Makes us question something. It could be the loss of work, something that you thought was very steady, and your life is devastated because all of a sudden that isn't there. The identity that you had, if it was wrapped up in that particular role, is no longer exists. And after this devastation, and literally the storm has settled down, it gives us the opportunity to reevaluate our life and think, if I'm not going to have another job like that, what's my calling? Why am I here? What am I going to do with my life? And you start finding your life purpose. You start finding your calling. So from the storm comes the calm and clarity, possibly for you. Maybe you're in a relationship that's been long term and it's okay, and it comes to an end, whatever form that takes. And when that when that relationship comes to an end, you will go through a period of self-discovery. Who am I? What do I want to do? Who do I want to be with? Or am I happy on my own? Or maybe I'll just have friends now. And that self-discovery, after the pain of the storm, gives new life to who you are. And maybe the season hasn't started for you to start seeing that. And finally, the story of the butterfly. So we all know the story of there's an egg, there's a caterpillar, just goes through life eating and not thinking about anything. But one day, that little creature that just consumes, that one day, it has something within us driving it, and it doesn't understand it, and it creates a cocoon. And during the life within the cocoon, there's confusion. It's time to surrender and let go. Surrender and let go and say, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the future is. This is where I am now. But I'm open to possibilities that I might not have been open to before, because what's going to happen, who knows? When that confusion comes to an end, the cocoon will start to split open, and this beautiful butterfly will emerge, and it'll just be trembling, uncertain of the world, starting to just stretch its wings out so the sun dries the wings and it can take flight. And it's moving in ways it couldn't possibly imagine when it was a caterpillar. And it eats different things. It has a totally different life as it flies around and experiences the freedom of a new life. We too pass through times of the cocoon. When we feel everything is falling apart, we've got no idea what's going on. Everything is we can't think straight. It's just confusing. And there are times when we emerge from that and our life is totally different to how it was before. If you've gone through this, then you'll understand that this new life, a life with wings, different life, it's a lighter, easier life. And there's more light, there's more freedom, and there's more movement. What would that mean for you? My reflection for the life of the butterfly that goes through that is, there something inside that you feel is more to life than this. You don't know what it is, but you just have that yearning for new life. There must be more to life. You feel like your old life has gone and a new life has arrived, and you're learning to live a new life. You may have possibilities, but you don't fully realize you may just be driven on instinct, like the butterfly. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do it on this occasion. I'm going to go through a bit of a reflection about each of the stories, a bit of a summary, if you will. So whether it's like the change in your life, whether the change in your life is like the bird and you choose it because you're ready to break out the shell. If you've had a struggle and the change you're going through at the moment feels like a struggle or feels like you've been through a struggle and now it's you just can't face the world, you just want to slink away and hide and you can't face the world, then you would recognize the story of the lobster. It could be the storm that's come into your life and you think, what on earth is going on? I didn't welcome this. I was steady. I thought everything was great. I thought everything was cool. And here I am with this massive change in my life that I didn't ask for. And when you stop using words like it's not fair, you start growing. And once you get into another season in your life, you'll see the new life come along. And sometimes it's time to just surrender, like the caterpillar. Surrender. Allow yourself to go through the transformation that you need to go through, and you'll emerge. So this is just a summary. You'll emerge as a butterfly. So I'm standing here with boxes around me, my new address from a place I loved. But there's times that change in our life. And out of the stories I've told you, I've been helping people to understand the change in their life for many years using these. And here I am, hopefully helping more people. I hope it goes smoothly. And I hope that the change, you can embrace the new life, because that's what change is about. Embrace the new life. And I wish you a happy and joyous life. Much love to you. Take it easy.